I was traveling on business down in Atlanta, and my cell phone was ringing and continued to ring. And finally, I stepped out of a meeting and answered it, and was our cleaning woman who was cleaning my house. And she was hysterical on the phone, telling me that the house was on fire and that our dog was inside.
I was with my youngest and oldest son at a wake. My middle son was actually at a football practice that was required.
The policeman that I had known grabbed the phone and said, "Look, I know you're away." He said, "I just want to let you know that this is a devastating situation, and you're not going to have anything left." And I only had a few seconds really to decipher what he was talking about, and then I said, "Tell me that none of my wife and my kids aren't home." He said, "They're not here." And I said, "Do they know?" And he said, "No, they don't know yet."
When he called me, I ran out of the wake just to say, "Hey, how'd you do?" And he says, "Joy," he says, "we got a big problem. The house is on fire." I said, "What are you talking about? I'm only gone 45 minutes. And he said, "Joy, we lost everything. You got to go home."
I was in New Jersey that day. I was on appointments, and I happened to have been in between two appointments, and I stopped off at my house. And I was sitting at my desk doing some work and heard the sirens go by. And I just opened up the front door, and I lived directly across the street from the Bushwells. And his house was just ablaze.
I must have got 40, 50 phone calls, people informing me that my house was on fire. And I said, I know it's on fire. I said, obviously, you're not the first to call me, but Michael was one of the first to call, and he said, "I'm at the house."
I said right into the phone, "Brian, your house is on fire. I'm here. Joy and the kids are not. Firemen are here. I'll keep you posted." We hung up, and not 3 minutes later, he called me back for more information, really asking me, am I good? Am I good? Do we have the right stuff? Are we okay?
I said, "Mike, look." I said, "Look, I'm about to come home to what I know is the worst thing I could be coming home to. Thank God no one died." I said, "But look, just tell me that I'm going to come home and we're not going to have a problem with the insurance, that everything is okay." And 3 words came out of his mouth. He said, "You are perfect."
The fire started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. By 3:30, I already had a claim number. I had already been in touch with the local claims adjuster. An appointment was already made with me and the claims adjuster for 8 o'clock the next morning. By 6 o'clock that evening, I had gotten a call from Jim O'Keefe introducing himself to me, senior claims underwriter, and he said he would be coming down as well to walk the claim with us. Now, what a lot of people don't know is claims adjusters don't always live in the area in which the claims are. Jim's 3 hours away. We had a 9 o'clock meeting the next morning. Jim was the first one there.
We basically did a cursory tour of the outside of the building. Got a little bit to the inside of the building, but we typically don't want to go too far in. It was kind of dangerous, kind of hazardous. Everything's still dripping. Ceilings are still falling. We did the cursory inspection. It was very clearly, a major loss in our opinion. We refer to it as a total loss.
I then went on to another appointment, and Jim waited for the Bushwells to come.
I'm not sure I've ever met a guy like Jim, and I've only had a handful of conversations with Jim and, numerous emails. But, when you go through what we went through, he was tremendous. He was unbelievably sympathetic, empathetic.
He wanted to know how the kids were. He wanted to know where we were staying. He was concerned and felt like he was a family member in the sense of the way he took care of us. He didn't need to be the way he was, but he was extraordinarily personable towards us and happy to do whatever it is he needed to help us.
If you show up to somebody who's lost their home and all of their possessions and most of their mementos, that's the part that's most troubling, for us as insurance people and for them as the victims of all of this, if you will. If you start talking insurance, it's first of all not sticking. Nobody would be listening at that point. But you need to work with them to get past the emotional. But I've lived through enough of these over my career to know that the most important thing we can do is address the family's needs, their personal needs. And the insurance stuff will fall into place.
He was there to take over and to make it okay. It was a very, very surreal situation. I mean, we were standing on the driveway, and he had a check for us, and he said, "Look, I don't know if you need money, don't need money." He said, "But and just take this. If you need it, you do something with it. If not, just hang on to it. But I just want to know that we're here and we're going to get through this."
Any insurance company is only as good as its people. Anybody can write a policy. Anybody can take your premium. We sell protection and we sell peace of mind. Our clients and the agents have to know that when there's a problem, the carrier is going to be there and not look to hide behind the legal language. I experienced it firsthand. ACE stepped up to the plate. There was never a question about dollars. Within the week, the client had over $100,000, need it or not. ACE knew they were going to pay millions. Get them some money, let them get themselves settled. What everybody forgets about this one particular claim is school hadn't started yet. These kids were 4 days from starting school. They had new backpacks, new books, new this. It was gone. They were starting school in 4 days. All this had to be repurchased quickly. Yes, there were neighbors and friends that jumped in, but ACE was on top of it.
Thank God that I trusted Michael to do this, because if I didn't, and I know, and where I was prior to meeting Michael, I know all my stuff was not done. I don't want to say it was wrong, but it wasn't done as thorough. And when Michael assured me that ACE was the group that was going to take care of this, you can't put a price tag on that.
ACE was a relatively new carrier in the marketplace, and we had had some success with them in writing business, but we hadn't had a claim yet. And we put together quote options for ACE. They marketed it for us. They put it together. They came back to us. Pricing was competitive. Coverages were just superior to anything we could have asked for or needed. And we placed it with ACE.
You know, look, when you have a loss like this, I'm sure it hurts the company, right? But they're in the insurance business. The two of it was never about does Michael not put enough time into this? Does ACE not? What are they going to lose out of this? Everybody came to the table, Jim and Mike, and said, let's make it right, and whatever we can do to get this family back to some sort of normal lifestyle, that's what they both did together. And it was incredible.